The last year of my life. Where do I start? This is a vent, honestly, you can give advice. But I just want to let it out. I was secretly dating this guy. My family didn't know. I was planning on telling them. But when the time came, we got a call. My mama had coded. We would then spend the next week with her, and I watched her take her last breath. The funeral was hard. She had Alzheimer's and dementia, so she barely knew me. It's hard to hear people talk about this great woman when you missed out on truly meeting her. I went through school after that. But a month later, my best friend and her husband would pass. This death affected me more than anything. I wanted to die. I cried probably every day since till recently. But I remember the small details. I remember what book I was reading when they took me out of my high school. I remember the time. I remember the day before how I called him and got no answer. Instead of them telling me they had a non-related person pick me up and take me down there. Nobody told me what's wrong, cause when I arrived I seen police and the funeral home. Why? But I went in to see him and then went to the car. The thing is, I wanted to do what I've always done in situations. Run. I had a cheer competition and messed up my ankle on the November 18th. I couldn't walk for months after that. Then around Thanksgiving, my sister went to the hospital, and I barely could make it in the room cause my foot. My foot would take a lot from me, honestly. Then on December 18th, I lost my other pawpaw. I went to his wake, then the next day my foot was swollen to the point I couldn't go. I didn't want to miss it. It sucked not being there. Also, keep in mind, during all this time, I was with the same boy, and my family finally met him. But the thing is, this boy hugged another girl and said it was his cousin around the time in December when my other pawpaw died. He would repeatedly argue and tell me he's done. It was honestly mental abuse. This went on for months. On Valentine's Day, I woke up after a big fight with him, and all I could do was feel ugly. I spent the last few weeks making him a bunch of homemade gifts for the day. I was excited. I even wrote a 5-page letter. This wasn't the first gift I've gave him. I also gave him a Halloween and Christmas gift. But he didn't want to spend the morning with me. Instead, he wanted to sit with his friends. Then he asked me to see him before the class, and bell rung. Which I did. I was genuinely unhappy this whole day. Looking back, I remember seeing this cousin walk by me at school. I didn't even know what she looked like or her name till after I found out months later. But back to Valentine's Day, he treats me awful, but pretends like he's being good to me. At lunch, I ate by myself cause he would rather acknowledge his friends than me. I was fed up at this point. I spent the next hour after that with him. He acted happy, but I was honestly getting fed up with how he treated me. The whole day, honestly, he didn't treat me good. We couldn't do anything cause he gave me BV and an extreme UTI. I had this for months cause it wouldn't go away. The doctors kept giving me new medication. Fast forward, we had the most amazing, sweetest day, TG. Then something in me snapped that night. I do this thing where my anger builds, then I just lash out. But you might think I hit him or something. I didn't. I just shut down and cried, then wrote a paragraph about everything I felt. He got mad at me for it. I spent the next week loving him. Little did I know this would be the week my viewpoint on him, and everything changed. We had this good day together. It was Friday, March 1st. Then somebody told my friend they had screenshots of this girl texting him. I asked him about this, and he kept denying and ignoring it. Then he decided to go home early to avoid me. But I didn't freak out. I went to my elementary school where my mom now worked. The thing is, this is the place where a lot of things happened to me, including SA. But my friend sent me the screenshots when I was in that school. I couldn't control myself, and my mom was yelling at me mad I wasn't helping. I walked out the school, got in my car. We was arguing. The only thing is I didn't understand why he would do all these things to me. I loved him. I gave him all my firsts. I gave him gifts. I wrote letters, paragraphs. I tried to give him the love I never had growing up. But he first denied it, even though it was obvious. Then I texted the girl, and she said it was him. Then he turned and started saying this gay guy and me had a thing. He said the most awful things to me. He told me how this girl was better than me. He wouldn't stop trying to hurt me with his words. I called my friend, and she seen me break down OTP. I got out the car and wobbled all the way to the front steps of my elementary school. I broke down and fell on my hands and knees. I called my sister. I was having a panic attack. My mom would soon get spammed and come out there and get me. I had to tell her. Then I went home and had to tell my dad. My parents loved him, but during all that I ignored his texts and calls. He spammed my family members saying I was side owl and to check on me. He wouldn't leave me alone. He'd done enough to me ADP. That night was probably one of the hardest nights I've experienced. I stopped eating. I just didn't want food. I wasn't hungry. I didn't even feel that hunger. I couldn't stop crying. I had this heart-wrenching feeling that wouldn't leave in my chest. My eyes was burning from how much I was crying. I couldn't sleep cause I kept having nightmares from him. I didn't want to get up, so I used the bathroom on myself. I even puked on myself. The next morning, my mom came in and held me. She dressed me and got me up to go dress shopping. She would soon notice what was happening to me. In the dresses, she seen how much weight I lost. You could see my bones. I felt empty. I finally texted him back that day. I asked him what he thought of my dresses. I know that sounds stupid, but honestly, he was my best friend for so long. He was the only boy I fell in love with. I seen him as an angel in my eyes. The sweetest, most precious soul. My mom and sister got mad cause they thought I was texting him. I'm home after I told him I was done texting him for good. I wouldn't be back this time. He called me. I wouldn't answer. When I got home, I sent the SS of it to the girl he cheated on me with. When I found out, he blocked me on Snapchat and posted her on his story automatically. But this girl asked him and believed some BS that I told him I was going to KNS. I never did that. I told him I was done texting him back for good. But I blocked him and her. Then I went to bed. I actually slept that night. But the heartache, starving, puking wouldn't stop. It didn't stop for months. He texted my number that next morning asking to talk. He explained how she was just there. He didn't feel like he could TTM cause how much stuff was going on with me. He also felt threatened by me having a gay best friend. He said a lot of other things, but I'm not going to talk about it. Also, during all of this, I was having a miscarriage. I got back with him, but that next Monday, he was siding with that girl in school, and I was going to drag her, but I decided she's not worth it. I was done. I completely didn't look at his texts. I went through my first and seen he had blew my phone up all first period, begging me to give him another chance. It's why I did it. I waited in that spot, even though I knew it wasn't a good idea. Then we connected. I can't explain it. He would completely drop this girl. Off everything. Then everything till today has been good. By the way, this girl made multiple fake accounts to add me, stalked my socials, made rumors. It was crazy stuff really. But honestly, now I'm pregnant. This stuff no longer hurts me. I didn't fully forgive him for it. But honestly, I'm not upset about it anymore. At least not in the way I was before. I left out a lot of bad things that happened cause this is getting too long. But I lost so much. Now, even though I'm not graduated yet, I truly am happy for my baby to be born.